The night I fell down the stairs while pregnant. My husband was about to accompany his first love to watch the fireworks at Disney. I didn't stop my husband from leaving. Instead, I chose to call the emergency number to save myself. Just because in my previous life, as a doctor, he rushed to my aid immediately and sent me to the hospital. However, his first love had a car accident on the way back alone and died a tragic death. My husband seemed indifferent, but he drove his car and hit me to death on my way to the prenatal checkup. At the moment before I died, I saw his ferocious face. If you hadn't deliberately pretended to be ill, how could Cindy have been killed by you? You're so jealous. You're a devil. Cindy is dead. You don't deserve to live either. Go to hell. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the night before my husband went out. The pain hit. My ankle seemed to be splitting, and my stomach was twitching with pain. The pain brought my memories back. Opening my eyes and seeing the familiar layout, I was dazed for a moment. Looking at the phone that had fallen to the bottom of the stairs, I realized that I had been reborn. I was back to New Year's Eve before Cindy had the car accident. I struggled to crawl down, trying to reach for the phone, but the bursts of pain in my stomach made me unable to move. I gritted my teeth and endured the intense pain, trying to stretch my hand a little longer. The short distance of a dozen centimeters seemed like an insurmountable chasm. I could feel the little life in my belly, connected to me by blood, gradually losing its vitality. A sneer came from upstairs. It was my husband. Kevin. He was holding a half-eaten apple in his hand, leaning on the handrail, with a sneer all over his face. Snow. Stop acting. I didn't expect you to be so dedicated. You lay on my way even before you saw me. Are you acting for me? To be honest, I still admire you. I've told you so many times that Cindy and I are just siblings. But you still don't believe me. Now are you going to use the child in your belly to threaten me? Kevin threw the bitten-out apple core, which happened to land on my phone, knocking the phone that was so close to me even further away. He walked down step by step, each step stepping on my heart, making me want to scream and run away. But I couldn't. I could only curl up even tighter. In my previous life, when Kevin was about to go out, he happened to see me fall down the stairs. As a doctor, he immediately set my bones and called an ambulance for me. And I received timely treatment. Because he was worried about the child in my belly. Kevin hesitated for a long time and finally chose to accompany me to the hospital. When I came out of the emergency room, Kevin rushed to Disney in a hurry. But on the way, he witnessed his first love, Cindy, having a car accident. After coming back, Kevin was in a daze. The psychiatrist said he was suffering from post-traumatic stress. Kevin comforted me, saying that it was just the shock of seeing someone he knew die. But on my way to the prenatal checkup, he drove the SUV we bought together and hit me to death, and repeatedly ran over my belly. Having a second chance at life. I don't want to stop him from dating Cindy. I just want a chance to save my child. I reached out and grabbed the hem of Kevin's pants, and said with difficulty, "Please, call the emergency number for me." What I got in return was Kevin's beating. He stepped hard on my injured ankle and grounded hard. "Snow. You're really good at acting. I admire you. You can even dislocate your ankle by pretending to fall. You like to pretend, don't you? I'll help you. Let you pretend more realistically." The intense pain, accompanied by bursts of contractions, made me unable to make a sound. Under Kevin's mocking gaze, I forced myself to crawl down. In my previous life, I didn't even have time to see the child in my belly being born. In this life, I hope he will be safe and sound. I used all my strength to dial the emergency number. From beginning to end, Kevin looked down at me with a malicious look in his eyes. "Do you really need to pretend so real? You can't deceive me anymore. The nearest hospital to us is the one where Kevin works. But for his convenience, we sold the premarital house given to me by my parents and moved next to the hospital. So the emergency doctors dispatched or all Kevin's colleagues. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Kevin's colleagues in white coats coming in. I thought this was my salvation. Unexpectedly, Kevin's colleague, Wilpuan, lit a cigarette in front of me. A pregnant woman in pain. What is sister-in-law cosplaying? The doctor closest to me lifted his foot and hooked my chin with his toe. Isn't it another excuse to try to stop Kevin from meeting Cindy? It's just New Year's Eve. I really don't understand why you're so jealous. You have to act every time. Your desire to perform is too strong. Isn't it? I thought these doctors who save lives would make a judgment about my current situation. Unexpectedly, Kevin's attitude over time had influenced them, making them think that all my actions were to stop Kevin from meeting Cindy. It's a pity you didn't become an actress. Kevin put on the coat in his arm and walked out. If Cindy hadn't told me that you called her during the day and said that I would definitely be by your side tonight, I would almost have believed your acting skills. The doctor closest to me suddenly caught sight of the blood on my white nightgown. Blood? Kevin. So much blood. Sister-in-law won't really have a miscarriage. Will she? Kevin glanced at me, smiled faintly, and punched the doctor. What a fuss. It's just fake blood like chicken blood or duck blood. After all, in the previous life, the child in the belly was fine. The few of them left, laughing and joking, and even forgot to close the door. The cold winter wind howled in, squeezing out all the warm air in the room. I was wearing a white dress and was frozen unconscious in the cold house. When I opened my eyes again, I was in a warm hospital. The neighbors saw that I woke up and quickly brought over a cup of hot water. I saw the ambulance drive away in front of your house. After they left, I saw that your front door was forgotten to be closed. Thinking that the doctors left in a hurry, I wanted to help you close the door. Unexpectedly, I just saw you lying on the ground. However, it was too late when you were sent here. The child didn't make it. The neighbor's voice was full of regret. My hand that was touching my belly stopped in midair. I smiled bitterly and pulled my lips. It doesn't matter. Thank you for sending me to the hospital. Seeing my desolate expression, a neighbor sighed and his tone was full of anger. I don't know what's wrong with those doctors. I saw them come out of your house and get into that ambulance. How could they not see such a big person like you lying on the ground? If I hadn't wanted to help you close the door, maybe not only your child would be lost. I've called the police and complained about them. With such doctors who slack off, I don't know how many people they will kill. I shook my head, not wanting to say more, and transferred the medical expenses and gratitude money to the neighbor. The neighbor took the money but was still hesitating, as if he had finally made up his mind. He closed his eyes and finally told me about Kevin. Yesterday, after I sent you to the hospital, I went home to get something. On the way back, I saw your husband holding a woman's hand. The two of them were very affectionate. I asked him to come to the hospital to see you, but he refused and thought I was meddling. I'm not saying this to stir up trouble in your marriage, but as a person with morals, I really can't stand it. I lay down on the bed dejectedly and said hoarsely, I know. He was there when I fell. As soon as I finished speaking, the neighbor was stunned on the spot. He touched the back of his head in bewilderment, his tone a little awkward, his face mixed with sympathy. And he offered to hire an Annie for me, and told me to call him if I needed anything. After persuading the neighbor to leave with great effort, I received a call from Kevin. On the other end of the phone, Kevin's tone was angry. Snow. What on earth do you want to do? I just went to watch the fireworks with Cindy. You not only pretended to be ill, but you also complained about my colleagues. Don't you know your own situation? My colleagues were already very tired of being on duty on New Year's Eve, and they still had to fool around with you. Can you have some civic morality? Come and explain to the dean quickly and withdraw the complaint, or we'll get a divorce. Before I could speak, Cindy's aggrieved voice came from the other end of the phone. Sister-in-law, how could you complain about the colleagues because of me? How embarrassing this makes Kevin. I know you don't want Kevin to accompany me to watch the fireworks. You even pretended to fall and complained about our colleagues out of revenge. It's my fault. I've never had a brother since I was a child. I shouldn't have expected Kevin's care. I apologize to you. Please withdraw the complaint. Don't affect others' future out of your own selfishness. I will never disturb you and Kevin again. Kevin's voice immediately followed. Cindy, this whole thing has nothing to do with you. I'm willing to accompany you to watch the fireworks. Although Snow is my wife, she has no right to control my personal freedom. You don't need to apologize to her. You're just too kind. That's why she keeps stepping on you again and again. I didn't want to listen to the two of them being affectionate anymore. So I said directly, Kevin, I agreed to the divorce. See you at the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow. Kevin continued to say on his own, if you don't want a divorce, you come right away. Halfway through, he seemed to suddenly realize that I had agreed to the divorce. He was immediately like a male duck whose throat was pinched, and he froze. There was a long silence on the other end of the phone. And then Kevin's furious voice came. Snow. I didn't want to listen to him swear. So I directly hung up the phone and simply blocked Kevin. I rested for a while. But in the afternoon, I suddenly found that Kevin's apology video was trending on the hot search. On New Year's Eve. Because I didn't have time to accompany my wife pretended to fall and asked my colleagues to rescue her. But she was just pretending. With the tight medical resources, my colleagues simply treated her pain and left. Hurrying to rescue an old lady with a heart attack. I didn't expect that she would complain about my colleagues and ask the hospital to fire them. Although my colleagues graduated from prestigious universities and had excellent medical skills, there's really nothing more they can do to help a person who is already healthy. Here, on behalf of my wife, I would like to apologize to my colleagues and my superiors. I hope everyone can learn from this and not abuse medical resources at will. To prove the authenticity of his words, Kevin also went through the real name authentication process and uploaded our wedding photos. His actions completely dragged me into the whirlpool of online violence. The doctor-patient relationship was already tense. On the one hand, it was difficult to queue up in the hospital, and people were angry. On the other hand, doctors did their best but were still attacked by crazy patients, which chilled the public's hearts. Kevin's remarks directly put me at the center of the online violence. There were overwhelming condemnations of me on the internet. How could someone be so vicious? An ambulance is meant to save people in a race against time. Wasting an ambulance out of jealousy could mean that a person in urgent need of rescue might lose their life. So vicious. Wasting medical resources and causing trouble in the hospital. She doesn't care about human lives because of her own selfish desires. What a venomous woman. I tried to explain. But I was completely drowned out by the scolding and disappeared among thousands of cursing comments without even making a ripple. Worse still, even the doctors and nurses in the hospital where I was staying were full of hostility towards me. They clearly recognized me as the woman who had deliberately caused trouble on the internet. And their attitude towards me became obviously cold. Sometimes I could hear them whispering behind my back. It's this woman. She filed a complaint against the doctor from the sect and affiliated hospital next door. I heard that she faked an illness and forced the doctor to treat her. If the doctor didn't treat her, she threatened to get the doctor fired from the hospital. But didn't she really have a miscarriage? She didn't look well when she was brought in. Who knows? Maybe she deliberately hurt herself to pressure the sect and affiliated hospital. It's really bad luck to have a wife like her. Fortunately, having so feldly, they all had professional ethics. Although they looked down on me, they just had a cold attitude and didn't do anything excessive. I didn't try to explain either. I just removed Kevin from my blacklist on the day I was discharged from the hospital and sent a message to Kevin. When will you come to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get the divorce certificate? Kevin called me back soon. Snow. What on earth are you trying to do? Do you think you can threaten me by playing this game of retreating as an advance? I've already apologized for you. In a few days, I'll invite them to our house for dinner. And you should apologize properly and beg for their forgiveness yourself. I didn't respond to his monologue but just insisted. I said, when will you come to the Civil Affairs Bureau so that we can go through the divorce formalities? There was a sneer on the other end of the phone. Do you think I'll be scared and beg you not to divorce me like this? Aren't you just playing hard to get because you're pregnant and using the baby in your belly to threaten me? Let me tell you. Don't even dream about it. I'll move to the hospital to live these few days. You should reflect on yourself properly. And call me when you've thought it through. After saying that, Kevin hung up the phone directly. Section Id article track. I just felt extremely speechless. After going home, I found the property ownership certificate and prepared to sell the house. I also exported the surveillance video by the way. Fortunately, when we bought the house, my parents felt sorry for me. They provided the funds, but they designated me as the only heir. If I divorce Kevin, the house and property will belong to me alone. If I have a child, the child can be the heir to my estate. Kevin was my father's student back then. He came from a poor family, but he was good-looking and motivated. My father liked him very much. After Kevin met me at school, he fell in love with me at first sight and pursued me frantically. After we got married, my father used his personal connections to promote him to the position of hospital director. Since then, he has become busier and busier and has become more and more impatient with me. After my parents passed away 2 years ago, Kevin's true colors were revealed. He completely lost his patience with me and became very close to Cindy. I planned to deal with the house while filing for a divorce lawsuit. Unfortunately, having fulfilled my absai, the buyer had also seen me on the internet. When he found out that I was going to sell the house, on the one hand, he tried to appease me and pretended to negotiate the price with me. On the other hand, he secretly sent a private message to Kevin and even broadcasted it live on the internet. The woman who caused trouble in the hospital is secretly selling the house behind her doctor husband's back. It instantly became the hottest live broadcast room. Kevin rushed over quickly, with Cindy following behind him. Snow, Kevin fulfilled my instruction. You really don't know how to repent. You actually planned to sell the house behind my back. No wonder you insisted on getting a divorce. You were actually trying to secretly transfer the joint property of the husband and wife first. Kevin took the initiative and directly accused me. Cindy also chimed in beside him, sister-in-law. What you're doing is really not right. You haven't worked since you graduated. Kevin worked hard for most of his life to buy this house. How can you just sell it like this? And you're doing it secretly. Kevin was so angry that his eyebrows were raised. You really don't know how to repent. If you want a divorce, I'll grant your wish. But the house has to belong to me. And the child has to belong to me too. You vicious woman don't deserve to be called mom by my child. Kevin's words caused a huge stir in the live broadcast room. The bullet comments scrolled by quickly, all accusing me. Is this the woman who caused trouble in the hospital? She's really a venomous woman. No wonder she didn't say a word when she was being scolded. It turns out she was thinking about secretly transferring the property. I didn't expect this woman to be so vicious. She actually wants to secretly transfer the property. My goodness. It's really miserable to have such a wife. She hasn't earned a single penny and relies on her husband to support her. But she still stabs her husband in the back. I looked at Kevin and a sarcastic smile appeared on my face. Child? There's no child anymore. Your child had a miscarriage when you called all the doctors away. Kevin flew into a rage and stretched out his hand to hit me. You vicious woman. You've challenged my bottom line again and again. It's bad enough that you're jealous. But you even curse my child. Even if you plan to secretly give birth to the child without telling me, I'm still the child's father. The fact that the child is mine can't be changed. And as a housewife, what can you rely on to raise my child? Cindy looked at the live broadcast and suddenly a smile appeared on her face. She continued to fan the flames. She suddenly knelt down in front of me and kept kowtowing. Sister-in-law, if you think it's my fault, I'll kowtow and apologize to you. Please don't harm Kevin anymore. Everyone has seen how kind Kevin has been to you over the years. It's not easy for Kevin to get to where he is today. He finally became the director through his own hard work. Your causing trouble in the hospital has already made it difficult for him to get along at work. You're trying to ruin Kevin. Sister, stop being willful. Even if you want to ruin Kevin, you should think about the child in your belly. Cindy was so emotional that she almost fainted from crying. Kevin quickly went to help Cindy up. Cindy, you don't need to apologize to her. We didn't do anything wrong. It's all the fault of this venomous woman. And he turned to look at me and said in a harsh tone, you quickly apologize to Cindy. If you kneel down and beg for Cindy's forgiveness today, I'll forgive you. Otherwise, you'll have to leave the house with nothing. If Cindy is willing to forgive you, I can still let you come to my house to see the child in the future and let the child call you Mom. Leave the house with nothing? I looked at Kevin with a smile and said in a cold tone. Kevin panicked for a moment. Remembering my parents' will, He pressed the blue veins on his forehead, picked up Cindy in his arms, and had an idea after rolling his eyes. I'm too lazy to argue with you. If you don't apologize, then we'll get a divorce. I was really blind to have married a venomous woman like you. If you don't want to give up the house, then transfer the ownership of the house to the child. Your parents were looking forward to this child before they passed away. You won't even do this for the child, will you? Then he said to the buyer in front of the camera, "This is our post-marital property. I don't agree to sell the house. Everyone, don't come to see it. After we've dealt with our family affairs and divided the property, I'll contact you again." After saying that, he held Cindy in his arms and turned away, leaving me in front of the camera and amidst the overwhelming scolding. I didn't say a word. I silently packed up the materials and let the scolding on the internet continue to ferment. Laugh. All of you. The happier you laugh now, the more miserable you'll be when you fall from the clouds in the future. When I had packed up the materials, I went straight to the police station. On the way, Cindy sent me a message. "Is it true that the child in your belly really had a miscarriage? Good riddance. A bastard like that would just be a waste of food if it stayed in this world. Kevin has already taken me to see the new house. After you two get divorced, Kevin and the house will both be mine." I didn't reply to her. I directly took a screenshot and then blocked her. On the day I fell, Kevin not only failed to fulfill his duty to rescue me, but also kicked my phone away when I tried to call for help, preventing me from calling the emergency number. He even stepped on and broke my injured ankle, causing physical harm to me. This is no longer a private matter, but involves a crime. I originally planned to settle the score with Kevin after dealing with the divorce matter. But I didn't expect him to be so shameless that he even wanted to embezzle the property left to me by my parents. The police officer who received me had obviously also seen the public opinion on the internet and was very impatient with me. But after looking at the video and report I submitted, there was sympathy on his face. "Why didn't you release the surveillance video earlier? We thought you were really causing trouble in the hospital. We didn't expect your situation to be so bad." I seized the opportunity and took out my medical records. The actions of these doctors caused me to lose my child. As a citizen, I have the right to receive medical assistance from doctors. But they ignored medical ethics and disregarded my safety. Do I have the right to demand an apology from them? The police officer looked at me with embarrassment, sincerely apologized to me, and comforted me. Then he asked me to go home and wait for news, telling me that they would deal with it for me as soon as possible. After coming out of the police station, I called my lawyer. But this lawyer had witnessed the entire process when my parents made the estate notarization. Now I want to file a divorce lawsuit and divide our property. Although Kevin works in the hospital, his monthly salary is only a little over 10,000 yuan. Our house next to a top-tier tertiary hospital alone is worth more than 8 million yuan. Kevin's salary can't afford it at all. Moreover, we've been married for 5 years. Even if he didn't eat or drink, his salary would only be over 500,000 yuan. This is our marital property. The lawyer was very efficient and professional. When Kevin received the summons, he immediately called me. "Snow, I didn't expect you to be so shameless. You actually sued me. Aren't you just trying to get a divorce and get the house? I'll give it all to you. Okay? You insatiable woman. The most wrong thing I've ever done in my life is to marry you. If giving up a house can get rid of you, then leave the house to the child. Let's meet at the Civil Affairs Bureau at 8 o'clock tomorrow." Kevin hung up the phone immediately after saying it and posted on Weibo right away. "Everyone has seen that my wife and I had a conflict over property issues. After thinking about it for a day, although she is vicious. After all, we have been married for 5 years. I had decided to give everything to her and our child, and I will leave the marriage with nothing. I really can't stand it anymore. As long as I can get rid of her, I'm willing to pay any price." Netizens left messages one after another, feeling that it wasn't worth it for Kevin. That vicious woman has finally been dumped. It's really satisfying. But just thinking that she still got such a large sum of money makes me angry. Kevin is really a good person. If it were me, I wouldn't just give away the money I earned so hard. I'm so angry. I really want to beat that vicious woman up. Now court trials are all public. Kevin was worried that I would present the gift agreement from my father as evidence during the court trial, which would let netizens dig out that he had actually been living off me for all these years. So he took the initiative and occupied the high ground of public opinion by making a statement first, shaping his image as a magnanimous person. I didn't expose him directly. Let him be happy for a while longer. Once the divorce is finalized, it will be the beginning of their downfall to hell. Early the next morning, I was waiting for Kevin at the gate of the Civil Affairs Bureau. Not only did Kevin come, but he also brought Cindy with him. The staff of the Civil Affairs Bureau didn't give me a good look, but their eyes were full of sympathy when they looked at Kevin. It was precisely because my reputation was so bad that we got the divorce certificate very quickly, without any dissuasion process. When we walked out of the gate of the Civil Affairs Bureau, Kevin took Cindy's hand and taunted me viciously. "Snow, isn't it just that you were making a fuss because you thought I neglected you because of Cindy and were jealous for no reason? These jealous behaviors made me realize the preciousness of Cindy. You should remember that it was you who brought us together." Cindy lowered her head meekly, looking shy, and said, "Sister-in-law. Oh no, no. Sister Snow. I want to thank you for helping Kevin and me recognize our feelings for each other. We're going to get engaged next week, and you're welcome to come." Kevin hugged Cindy into his arms, with a triumphant smile. "Only Cindy is so kind. After you give birth to the child, Cindy is willing to let you come and see the child. You should thank her properly. If I remember correctly, your father said he would leave the house to the child, right? Then the child will be raised by us. And you can move out." I looked at Kevin coldly, wondering how someone could be so self-absorbed and live in their own world. "I've already said it. The child has had a miscarriage." "On the night you went to watch the fireworks with Cindy." Kevin's face turned pale instantly, and he stepped forward to grab my arm. "How is that possible? Clearly you were just pretending. How could it be that in the previous life? How could the child be gone? Are you lying to me? Trying to make me regret it?" Seeing this, Cindy hugged Kevin from behind and shifted all the blame onto me in a pitiful tone. "Sister Snow, how could you secretly have an abortion out of anger? After all, Kevin is the father of the child. Whether you give birth to the child or have an abortion, Kevin has the right to know." As if waking up from a dream, Kevin threw me to the ground violently. "You vicious woman. You really had an abortion behind my back. Tell me, did you do it to take the house for yourself?" It seemed that he remembered that we were already divorced, and he had previously thought that the house was for our child. Also, having fulfilled my ancestation, in order to build his image, and planned to take both the child and the house away later. But he didn't expect that the child was already gone. Unable to control his anger, Kevin rushed up again and grabbed my arm. "You come with me and revoke the divorce. We need to divide the property again." I was dragged on the ground by Kevin, and my body was in pain. But in my heart, there was a sense of pleasure from revenge. Revoke the divorce? Kevin, you're really dreaming. The house was left to me by my parents. If the child were still alive, maybe I would leave all my money to the child after I passed away. But the child is already dead. Do you know that? He was killed because you delayed the treatment at the scene where I fell. Now you have nothing. You have no money, no child, and no house. Kevin stood there in a daze, as if suddenly waking up, and a look of regret flashed across his face. Cindy immediately stepped forward and hugged Kevin, saying softly, "Kevin, you still have me. We can have children. And we can earn a house together in the future." Then she turned to look at me. "Sister Snow, since you had an abortion yourself, don't shift the blame onto Kevin. You actually killed your own child out of jealousy. You're really a terrifying woman." Only then did Kevin seem to wake up and realize that the situation was already a foregone conclusion. He shook off my arm fiercely, slapped me, and then left with Cindy in his arms. In the following week, Cindy posted their sweet pre-wedding preparation records on Kevin's account. They chose the engagement clothes together and bought new furniture together. She posted everything, no matter how trivial, on the internet. Netizens expressed their blessings one after another, thinking that Kevin's decision to leave was extremely correct. He and Cindy were a perfect match in terms of appearance and talent. I just watched all these unfairly. Be happy. Because when your engagement day comes, I will come to your door with the police and the truth. I hope you can still laugh in. This day came quickly. Their engagement ceremony invited a lot of guests. And even some internet celebrities were present, setting up many cameras. The police called to inform me that they had confirmed Kevin's malicious injury behavior and his colleagues' behavior violating medical ethics, and they would arrest Kevin today. Before the police arrived, I went to Kevin and Cindy's engagement site first. Kevin's colleagues were all at the scene. When they saw me coming, they all sneered at me. Hey, who do I think it is? It's our troublemaker sister in the hospital. What? Have you remembered Kevin's goodness now that you've been abandoned? You're not here to beg for a reunion and cause trouble at the engagement, are you? We won't let you in. Hearing the commotion, those live streaming people all held their phones to watch me. And Kevin also walked over with Cindy in his arms. Snow, I didn't expect you to have the nerve to come. The house and money have been given to you. What are you here for? I only have Cindy in my heart. Even if you kneel down and beg me, I won't get back together with you. The live streaming room was already in an uproar. And the bullet comments were flying by quickly. Everyone was cursing at me. My God. How could this woman still have the nerve to come? Isn't it enough that she took Kevin's house? Does she still want to ruin Kevin's engagement ceremony? If I were her, I would just kill myself. She's so shameless. She should be secretly happy that she got the house. But she still comes out to show off. She's so shameless. I knew that her making a fuss about the divorce before was just a threat. I didn't expect that Kevin really divorced her. And now she regrets it. I've really seen a lot of people like her. They cry, make trouble, and even threaten to commit suicide. I didn't defend myself and let everyone speculate. Seeing that I didn't say anything, Kevin triumphantly asked the security guards to throw me out. The onlookers all pointed at me, scolding me for being cruel and heartless, and laughing at me for ruining everything. Just as the onlookers were about to spit at me, I took out the first piece of evidence. It was the notarization certificate of my father leaving the property to me, with the red seal of the notary office on it, which couldn't be faked. I showed the notarization certificate in front of the phones of various live streaming hosts, one by one so that everyone could see it clearly. Hello, everyone. This is the notarization certificate of my father's inheritance. Kevin was my father's student. When we got married, he was penniless and had nothing. It was my father who bought the house for us. Fortunately, having falsely, my father took precautions. He was afraid that Kevin would let me down, so he made a property notarization. All his money was designated for me alone. If Kevin divorced me, he wouldn't be able to get a penny. So it's not that he's magnanimous, but that he simply couldn't take my money. He deliberately said he would leave the house to me. Kevin's face turned livid, and he rushed forward to try to snatch the notarization certificate from my hand. The public opinion on the internet started to change a bit, but there were still people who thought I was vicious. So what if the house is hers? Didn't she still cause trouble in the hospital? She wasted medical resources. Yeah. She also complained about the doctors. I feel sorry for Kevin and his colleagues for a second. I dodged Kevin's hand and took out the second piece of evidence from my bag. It was my medical record, stamped with the seal of the third hospital, clearly stating that I had a miscarriage and a broken ankle due to external force. Look at the date. Everyone. This was the day before Kevin made the statement. The day I called the emergency number. I really lost the child. But I called the emergency number, and no one came to my rescue. My child could have been saved originally. There was an uproar on the internet, and the public opinion started to shift. The people at the scene also stared at Kevin and his colleagues with strange expressions. My God. Could it be that all her complaints were true? If these doctors just watched her seriously injured and did nothing, they really don't deserve to be doctors. A trace of panic flashed across Kevin's face, but he quickly composed himself and spoke in a hurry. You woman. Why are you so heartless? You deliberately hurt yourself out of jealousy. And now you're blaming the miscarriage on us. You know best how the child was lost. Kevin's words immediately turned the public opinion around, and a trace of disgust appeared in the way people looked at me again. My God! How could someone have an abortion out of jealousy and blame others? My God! It's probably a blessing that the baby wasn't born. It's better not to be born with such a mother. Seeing the public opinion turn against me again, a trace of pride flashed across Kevin's face. Afraid that I would take out more evidence, he asked the security guards to drive me out of the scene immediately. Where are the security guards? Hurry up and drag this crazy woman away. She doesn't have an invitation. Who let her in to ruin the event? The security guards quickly stepped forward and grabbed my arms from left and right, pulling me out. Just at this moment, a stern shout suddenly came, "Stop!" The arrest warrant finally came down. The policeman stepped forward with the arrest warrant and handcuffed Kevin. Kevin, you are suspected of maliciously harming others and deliberately obstructing the victim's self-rescue. Knowing that serious consequences would occur, we have evidence to prove your subjective intent. You are under arrest now. A trace of panic flashed across Kevin's face and he tried to struggle, but was held down by the policeman. The guests all looked at me in confusion. I projected the surveillance video that I had prepared long ago onto the big screen. Kevin's malice and the behavior of his colleagues who turned a blind eye to my plight were clearly recorded on the screen. Especially after Kevin left and I passed out, the scene of blood flowing all over the ground was even more shocking. I also showed the text messages in which Cindy provoked me, allowing everyone to see her vicious true nature beneath her innocent facade. An expression of disbelief appeared on Kevin's face, and he knelt down on the ground. How is this possible? Cindy told me that you were faking it. You said in the afternoon that you would definitely stop me from going to see the fireworks. How could you have really had a miscarriage? Kevin suddenly burst into tears. It was hard to tell whether he couldn't accept that he had caused the death of his own child or that he was about to be arrested. At this point, the truth was revealed, and public opinion completely turned around. Those who had previously hurt me immediately turned around and attacked Kevin for his cruelty, Cindy for her duplicity, and the doctors of the second affiliated hospital for their irresponsibility and lack of medical ethics. After arriving at the police station, Kevin asked to meet me privately. After giving my statement, I left without agreeing to his request for a meeting. Nor did I want to listen to his hypocritical confession. Kevin's colleagues went out on an emergency call but ignored the patient's critical condition. This was a serious act of dereliction of duty. The second affiliated hospital suspended them for investigation. And I also filed a civil lawsuit against the SAC and affiliated hospital and these emergency doctors. As for Cindy, because her true face was exposed and she had sent text messages to provoke me before I divorced Kevin and even cursed that my child deserved to die. Everyone saw her true colors. Although she wasn't suspended from her job, patients were reluctant to be treated by her, and her colleagues ostracized her. She couldn't stay in her job for more than a year and finally resigned on her own. Her story spread far and wide, and everyone knew about it. As a result, no hospital would hire her ever since. Kevin was sentenced to 3 years in prison. When he got out of prison 3 years later, he went to find Cindy. They had a conflict. Kevin thought that Cindy had caused him to lose everything, while Cindy felt that Kevin had brought her nothing, and had even caused her to lose her job. She secretly cursed Kevin for being a man who lived off women. In a fit of anger, Kevin stabbed Cindy with a knife and was sent back to prison immediately. And Cindy was seriously injured and would never be able to live without a urine bag for the rest of her life. She had to atone for the mistakes she had made for the rest of her life. When the policeman who handled the case back then told me about this, I had already started a new life. I had a new job and a new beginning. I finally let go of everything in the past. The villains all received the punishment they deserved.